We have a client that went from making 100 grand to making over 350 grand in 3 months time. That's right. That's a 300% increase, a 3x increase in 3 months. Now, let me start by saying that's not going to be everybody. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh, Chris is promising this to the whole world. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I want to do in this video is show you who this person was, not his name, but what situation he was in, and show you what he had to do to get into that next role. Because if you are in a similar position to this person, then you might be able to make a similar jump to your next role in as little as 60, 90, 100 days. So, if you don't know who I am, my name is Chris Garzone. I'm the CEO and founder of Data Engineer Academy. We are the largest data engineering school in the country. I myself was a data engineer at Amazon and at Lyft, at startups. I'm an angel investor in data companies myself. And what I want to do today is a little different, but I hope that the audience loves it, which is called a spotlight session. And what a spotlight session means is I'm basically going to walk you through what one of our clients went through from beginning to end so that you can see where they started, who they were, what kind of background they had, and where they ended up and what they were making by the time they accepted their new offer. Because one of the things we found at our company is that basically everybody starts at a different location, right? It's we've heard after talking to 10,000 people, basically 10,000 unique stories. But the thing is, there's also a pattern recognition to it, meaning there's buckets of people, right? So there's the person that has never touched tech that wants to enter tech. There's the person that has been a data analyst and needs to transition upwards into a data engineer. There's the person that's been a data engineer, but maybe not a fully fledged senior data engineer. Maybe there's that senior data engineer, but they have never led a team or been a manager. And maybe there's that manager or that leader who's just kind of like, hey, I want to get paid what I deserve. Maybe there is somebody who is out there who's like, hey, I'm a director, but I want to figure out how to start my own company, be a CEO and a founder, etc. So everybody's at a different level in their career. And one of the things that maybe is a little confusing for the audience who's watching is like, hey, what about my specific situation? Now, I can't sit here and do 10,000 videos, but what I can do is start to create video series or videos like this where I talk about an individual client we had, and maybe for part of the audience, you're looking at this and you're like, oh, okay, like I relate to this person here. And look, even if this person here you don't relate to, maybe the next one in the next video it will, and maybe it'll help somebody who's watching this video get a higher paying data role. So let's jump into it. The name of this client I'm going to mask for his privacy purposes, but let's just call it John 300, right? Or John 350. We'll call him John 350 because John 350 was able to increase his pay from like 100 to 350 grand in literally, I think it was like 60, 90, 100 days. It was something crazy. And he is what I would refer to as an ideal client. The reason he's an ideal client is because he was already working in tech. So he was already working as a data engineer or some sort of architect, some sort of data role. Not a data analyst, but also not a very high paid data engineer. So this person here had, I think about, let me double check so we can keep me honest, but the person had many years of experience. I think it was over 10 years. So 10 years of experience. So in a data role, probably as a DE, over 10 years experience, making a little over 100 grand, and they felt like they were underpaid. Now, here's the key little point here, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand, oh, maybe this is a lever for me. Maybe this is a point where I can improve. Maybe this is a point where I can value myself correctly. Not only was this person making a little bit over 100 grand, they were working in healthcare. And I see this all the time, but people who are not working in big tech companies or tier 2 companies or tier 3 companies, they tend to undervalue how much other companies will pay for your skill set because of their current bubble that they're in. And so this person was working in healthcare, which traditionally miss out on 3 things. Number 1, they miss out on valuing the person, right? So number 1, they don't value tech, which means they don't value the person that's doing the tech. Number 2, they tend to not pay equity. So no equity, No equity, no value. Now, for anybody wondering what's equity, I've created a ton of other videos on that, but the TLDR is that if you can get stock and that stock appreciates with the company's growth, then you are earning while the company also earns. And so the reason this is so important, because healthcare doesn't do this, right? Healthcare just doesn't give equity to employees because most of them aren't even public companies, right? Now, there's a few exceptions out there, and you can go to search Optum. It's a stock that does have a stock price and everything. But even then, I have a friend who was a data engineer at Optum. His pay was like 10% equity, right? Which is crazy because at Lyft, when I used to work at Lyft, I used to make 350 grand. Half of my compensation was stock. So by the end of the year, when I actually got the stock, I was actually making closer to like 450, 500 grand. That's because the equity grew as I stayed there longer. So that's the second part. Now, the third part that this person was not doing correctly, or specifically within the healthcare space, is there were no room for growth, right? So growth, or I guess lack of, is a very big deal, because if you, and this kind of relates to number one, but if you are a data engineer and you are doing a really, really good job, it kind of doesn't matter, because if you don't have somebody else that's teaching you new things, you're not getting better from your skill set. If you are not going to a different organization within your company, you are also not getting the opportunity to work on new projects, to beef up your resume, to learn new skills, to interact with other people that might have the potential to promote you. And so again, this triage of things that this person was doing for the last 10 years working in healthcare, it wasn't really benefiting him, right? And so again, I talk about this with equity. It's like, it's not about how hard you row the boat. It's about, are you rowing in the right boat? So again, I have a friend who's 27. He was making $1 million a year working at NVIDIA, and all he had to do was interview for NVIDIA for 3 hours, pass the interview. He got a package of 200-300 grand, but then by the time the stock blew up, he was making $1 million a year. That happens because he's able to row in the right boat. It's not that he was working more than 8 hours a day. It's not about how hard you work. It's about if you're rowing in the right direction, in the right vehicle. So those are the things that this person, John 350, was not really in the right situation. Now, in terms of skill set, because I know a lot of you guys are thinking, well, he was able to make 350 because he had some data experience. That is correct. And again, for all you people that don't have any tech experience, I recommend you still watch this so that you know where you might be in a couple of years. But again, this specific client, yes, it might relate to people in watching this who already have some sort of tech background. So that's the whole point of these videos. But here's the key little part about his skill set, right? So the next section here that you need to know about his skill set is that he was basically 60% of the way there. I'll say 50 to 60. And what I mean by this is, and I'll write down the bottom 6 things here. Let's just say, there's a lot more, but let's just say there's a measure of 6 things that people look for. SQL, Python, data modeling, system design, behavioral questions, and some sort of cloud experience, AWS, Azure, GCP, etc. That part doesn't quite matter. Again, I have more videos on which cloud you should learn, etc. But for now, just think of it all as one encompassing cloud. And the thing about this guy's experience is that he was kind of 50% of the way there. So for example, he knew, I'll just use SQL as an example because this crowd might know SQL. He knew how to do a select star, right? He knew how to do a very basic line of code in SQL. But he might not have been a killer at what's called window functions, right? Which is very more complex SQL code, which is fine. But here's the thing. In order for him to get a high level paying job, they're going to interview him on the highest level concepts within each of these domains. So he might have been a 60% at SQL. He might have been a 30% of Python. He might have been a 40% of system design, or 20% of data modeling, a 0% of behavioral questions, because typically when students start at our school, everybody's at 0% when it comes to behavioral questions, because you need to create the stories to be able to communicate during the interviews. And then with cloud, he might have been like at 10%, right? So overall, you add this up and he's like, okay, it kind of adds up to 50% of the way there, etc. But here's the thing about his roadmap, right? And this is where his journey really, really became clear, because he was already unsatisfied with his job for many, many, many months, many quarters, I think. And this is where students kind of mess up. They go on Reddit, they go on Stack Overflow, they go on YouTube, etc. And they're like, hey, I'm going to try to do this on my own. And yeah, there's a few percentage of people that can do it, but for the most part, what happens is people just get overwhelmed. And when you get overwhelmed, you don't make any progress because a confused mind never has clarity, and a clarity is needed in order to progress towards your goal. And so what happens here in the first 24 hours, once he gets his personalized roadmap, what John 350 was able to do is say, hey, the goal isn't just to take one master's course of SQL for the next 3 months, right? The goal isn't to do a semester of SQL. The goal is to say, hey, what's the 40% of stuff that I don't have? And let's do this over the next 2 weeks. Then it's to take the, let's say, system design. Hey, what's the 60% of things that I don't know? And let's do this over the next 3 weeks, right? Maybe that takes a little longer, right? And you do that. And what happened with John 350 specifically, because he was also a hard worker, is he said, okay, great. You think this is going to take me, a total of 12 weeks? I'm going to put in so much work and put in so many hours and utilize every resource that we have, or that he has at his disposal within our school. And instead of 12 weeks, I'm going to do this in 8 weeks, right? So he was a killer. And then what happens here is that after doing it for 8 weeks, he now spends the next 2 to 4 weeks scaling his application, interviewing, doing mock interviews, prepping, going through the interviews, negotiating, and he gets an offer at a hedge fund, right? And so again, when you go from healthcare to hedge fund, this is the kind of magic that can happen, because he was able to take his resume, use all the work and all the projects that he did within our school, put it in his resume, apply to an industry that just values data engineers twice as much. But because he gained all these new skill sets, he was now able to value himself as 3 times as much. And because he killed the interview, because he was prepared for the interview, he was able to command a compensation of 3 times as much as what he was earning before. And let me be clear for anybody that's wondering, no, it's not all salary. It was actually like, and I'm gonna paraphrase here, but it was around 200K in salary. It was about, call the rest of it as stock, 75K, and another 75K in what's called a bonus, right? Sometimes companies do performance bonuses, like, hey, if you do this, or if we hit these revenue goals, you get a bonus as well. And so this is yearly, by the way. This isn't like 75K one-time payment for stock, it's yearly. So he's able to make 350 grand per year, and he's able to do that after 12 weeks, maybe 15 weeks of work, right? Now, again, I want to be clear, for somebody who maybe isn't already 50% of the way there when they start, it might take longer than 12 weeks. It might take 20 weeks. And then for somebody who doesn't put in as many hours or doesn't work as hard, it might take 30 weeks, maybe even 40 weeks, right? Everybody's different, and everybody has a different journey based on where they start, based on where they're trying to go. But the biggest thing that I think most people don't realize is what we talked about at the beginning, which is you're probably at a company that doesn't value you. You're probably at a company that isn't giving you equity or stock, and you're probably at a company where you're stuck and you don't have any room for growth. So the truth is, whether it took John 350 12 weeks or 15 weeks or 20 weeks or 30 weeks, it doesn't matter, because you still are going to make 20, 40, 50, 200% more than what you're currently making. But more importantly, you're going to be in a situation where maybe you're earning equity and that equity is growing. You're going to be in a situation where maybe you're not in a dead end. You're actually learning something new every day. Maybe you're learning from other people who know more than you. Maybe you're getting mentored by a senior engineer. Maybe you have the opportunity to mentor others and get leadership skills. Maybe you just have the opportunity to work for a place that values you and you're happy going to work every single day. Maybe you're not sitting in front of your computer just waiting for the clock to finish. Isn't that a life you want? And so again, the reason I'm so passionate about this is because everybody focuses on the wrong thing. Oh, I'm only going to, invest in myself or take any steps if I can do this in 9 weeks. Why? What if you do it in 9 weeks and 2 days? So again, the biggest problem I see see is that people just don't take actions. And everybody always comes to us and they're like, hey, I want to upgrade my career. I want to make more. I want better for me and my family. But the truth is, words don't mean anything, right? That's the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is your actions. What do your actions say? And most of the time, people's actions are like, oh, I kind of dabbled on Coursera for like 4 minutes. Great. There's people out there that are doing 4 hours of work every single day to try and get the role that you want. Most of them are our clients, so kudos to our clients. If you guys are watching this, you guys rock. And so unfortunately, that's only going to be 1% of people. So again, hopefully this video was what you needed to see. If you are like John 350, if you are already working in data, you are closer to the goal line than you think, which means you will get to your goal faster if you just take the first step. So if you're watching this video and you liked it, please like, subscribe, give me some feedback in the comments so that I can make more videos like this. And here's the question of the day. If you have a specific type of avatar or person or persona that you want me to pull out of our clients list and make a video about, go ahead and put that in the comment and we will make a video just like this that maybe might resemble your situation a little more closely. Cheers. Have a good one.